Good evening and welcome to the Ghana TV9 News Bulletin for Monday, November 24, 2025. I'm Paul Abrams. In the headlines tonight, 50 communities in Region 6 upgraded as President orders immediate fix to ridiculous market rule. Prosecution makes further disclosure in Mohammed's extradition case. Mr. McCoy rejects EU's election claims, says governance is not an election year offense. Police issue national warning, obey the road laws or expect more deaths. Start turning for new BK airport terminal marks transformative moment for Bartica, says President Ali. Ghana leads the Caribbean in tourism growth, Minister Rodriguez reports 18% surge. President Ali vows to eradicate Pandey mismanagement syndrome from Ghana's sugar industry. 9-year-old dies following severe beating from cousin, and Barbados man jailed 2 years for leaking ex-girlfriend's private photos. Now for the news in depth. The extradition proceedings for prominent businessman Nazar Mohammed and his son Azruddin Mohammed were called on Monday before Principal Magistrate Judy Lachman at the Georgetown Magistrates Court. During the third hearing, the prosecution made further disclosure to the offense as part of the ongoing proceedings. Here's more.
The prosecution has completed its disclosure of documents requested by the United States in the ongoing extradition proceedings, according to a statement made this morning by the prosecutor involved in the case. Speaking to reporters after the hearing, the prosecutor, Terrence Williams, confirmed that the disclosure process, previously divided into two parts, was finalized today. At the earlier hearings this month, the prosecution had already disclosed several key documents, including a diplomatic note, an authenticated declaration from the United States Secretary of State, and executed warrants of arrest for both men. The materials form part of the formal request by the United States government seeking the Mohammed's extradition on alleged financial crimes and are intended to establish the legitimacy of the U.S. request and demonstrate compliance with the procedural requirements of the Ghana-U.S. extradition treaty. Questions were raised about the status of the disclosure documents and concerns that some had been formally processed through diplomatic channels. The prosecution explained that early access for the defense was the primary reason for this.
Well, what has happened is that we were endeavoring to ensure that the defense get their copies as early as possible, and in fact to meet this date. And so the copies were made from the documents prior to them coming through the diplomatic courier.
And how are these documents expected to strengthen your case?
Well, this is the request. This is part of the request. The first part was delivered on the last occasion. This is the second and final part of the request. So
Meanwhile, according to defense attorney Cyan Durjan, their primary request is simply that all materials the prosecution intends to rely on be made available to the court and to the defense. The state maintains that the documents disclosed at the last hearing further reinforces the legitimacy of the extradition request, noting that the material provides a clear outline of the allegations under review. When asked whether the documents establish connections between earlier allegations and the charges being pursued, state representatives indicated that the records submitted offer sufficient details to justify the proceedings and meet the threshold required at this stage. On the issue of fraud and wire fraud allegations, the state underscored that these charges are properly set out within the documentation and supported by the evidence accompanying the request. The defense received Monday's disclosure and is expected to make certain submissions when the matter returns to court on Friday, when additional disclosure is also anticipated. Both Nazar and Azruddin Mohammed, principals of Mohammed's enterprise, remain on $150,000 bail each as the proceedings continue. Magistrate Lachman adjourned the matter until November 28, 2025. Colin Abrams, Ghana TV9 News.
9-year-old Levon Collins, a pupil of Kildonan Primary School, has tragically died after allegedly being beaten by his 15-year-old female cousin. The incident is reported to have occurred about 2 weeks ago while Levon was riding his bicycle to his aunt's home. When his bicycle chain slipped, the suspect, who was walking behind him, allegedly pushed him. A confrontation escalated after the boy asked her to stop. She allegedly pushed him to the ground, threw the bicycle on him, and continued to stomp on the injured child. Lavon was rushed to the Port Moran Hospital, then transferred to the New Amsterdam Hospital 4 days later as his condition worsened. He was admitted to the ICU before being moved to the children's ward. Tragically, Lavon began vomiting blood on Saturday, November 22, and died moments later in his mother's arm. Police have launched a full investigation into the incident. On the lawns of the Albion Estate in Region 6 at the weekend, His Excellency Dr. Mohammed Irfan Ali delivered a firm message. His government will eradicate what he described as the Panday mismanagement syndrome of Ghana's sugar industry. More from Adana Doric.
Speaking during a hybrid-style press conference, President Ali stressed that the government expects tangible results from the massive investment being poured into the sector. Since 2020, the People's Progressive Party Civic PPPC administration has injected approximately $40 billion to transform Gaisuko into a modern, sustainable contributor to national development. The president outlined a strategic approach focused on research, training, value-added production, technology transfer, and a performance-based management system.
Already we have a proposal from a local and foreign joint venture on a sugar refinery plan. Investment in research, training, and technology transfer, and importantly, developing a performance matrix for management next year. And if management cannot meet the indicators on the matrix, they will be removed. The Panday syndrome in Gaisuku must be removed. And the Panday syndrome is mismanagement and poor management disguised under class and fanciful language. The Panday mismanagement syndrome will be eradicated from this industry.
Recognizing sugar's vital role in the Region 6 economy, President Ali reaffirmed that the government will continue allocating resources to secure strong returns on its investments. He further announced that a technical team from India will support efforts to reopen the Skeldon sugar factory with a target of producing 37,000 tons of sugar by 2030. Additionally, Gaisuko aims to achieve full lead mechanization by 2030 and deploy multispectral imaging drones to enhance crop monitoring.
We have to have the increased production at Albion and Rosal Estate. We're working now, we have a team coming from India that is looking at the reopening of the Skeldon Estate to produce 37,000 tons of sugar by 2030 at that estate, and to have the private farmers once again integrated in the system. The modernization and mechanization, accelerate the field conversion from traditional to fully mechanized layout. We are looking at 100% field mechanization by 2030.
During the previous APNU AFC administration, 4 estates, Wales, East Demrara, Rose Hall, and Skeldon were closed between 2016 and 2017, resulting in thousands of job losses, reduced household income, and economic hardships across several communities. The closures also contributed to a decline in sugar production and exports. In response, the PPPC's past 5 years have centered on rebuilding infrastructure and stabilizing production. As Gaisuko transitions into its next phase, the emphasis on modernization, efficiency, and diversification, including continued investments in machinery, mechanization, and expanded opportunities for workers to actively participate in and lead the industry's transformation. President Ali added that a proposal for a new sugar refinery is currently under review. Adana Dorek, Ghana TV9 News.
Radio broadcaster and PR professional Michaela Cameron says Guyanese women continue to anchor the country's progress, a conviction that inspired her Phenomenal Women series, now spotlighting barrier-breaking leaders across every sector. More in this Faith Sandy report.
Cameron urged young women to step boldly into the opportunities unfolding in a rapidly developing Guyana, stressing that authenticity must remain their compass. She encouraged them to lead with kindness, stay grounded in who they truly are, and resist the pressure to mimic others. Sharing her own early struggles in radio when she tried to sound like another broadcaster. Cameron said success comes when women embrace their real voices, their real strengths, and their real purpose. In a country gaining new resources, industries, and access like never before, she believes women must be confident, purposeful contributors to nation building.
So, my message to any young woman, any woman listening today, any person listening today actually, is to lead with kindness. Always try to be your true, authentic self. Don't be something or be someone you think you need to be.
As the Phenomenal Women series steps into its fifth season, Cameron hinted that viewers should brace for meaningful surprises, expanded storytelling, and a more powerful celebration of local womanhood. While she kept details under wraps, she promised that season 5 will be the biggest and most impactful yet, with choices that may surprise audiences but will make perfect sense when revealed. The goal, she said, is to elevate the platform further, amplifying voices often left unheard and continue honoring the women who have transformed their fields and communities.
So, there are going to be a few surprises. I obviously can't reveal too much. The fifth year of hoping to make it bigger and better than ever before. I can't share too much here. Okay. You're going to make me say something that I'm going to be like, no, Kiana, you can't play this. But again, I'm just so excited that the feedback has, been well received. Well, the show has been well received. The feedback has been amazing.
With heartfelt gratitude, Cameron thanked viewers. She hopes the women featured past, present, and future will inspire generations, including her young daughter, to walk boldly, dream loudly, and never abandon authenticity. As Guyana accelerates into a new era, Cameron's mission is clear: uplift the voices of women who refuse to be sidelined and ensure their impact is recognized, remembered, and revered. The Phenomenal Women series in Guyana is an annual project created by radio announcer Michaela Cameron to highlight and celebrate inspirational Guyanese women who have made significant contributions to the country's development. The series, which is supported by organizations like ExxonMobil Guyana, features interviews with women across various fields such as business, arts, culture, education, sports, and health. Faith Sandy, Guyana TV9 News.
A Barbese man who stole and circulated his ex-girlfriend's intimate photos has been jailed for 2 years as the court step up penalties for cyber harassment and revenge porn. On Monday, the 34-year-old IT technician Jeremy Smith was sentenced to 24 months in prison and fined $2.5 million after being found guilty of several cybercrime offenses linked to the unauthorized access and release of his former partner's private images. The incident began in July 2024 when the victim reported that Smith secretly accessed her phone and WhatsApp messages, copied her photos, and later posted them online after the relationship ended. During the trial, she recounted months of intimidation, saying Smith repeatedly called and harassed her even after charges were filed. The court also highlighted a history of abuse, including a previous restraining order granted 2 years earlier. Smith was convicted on all charges, with the magistrate emphasizing that cyber violations and weaponizing of private images will be met with firm punishment. In this Adana Dork report, you will hear that President Dr. Mohammed Irfan Ali on Sunday hailed the sod-turning ceremony for the new BK Airport Terminal in Bartica as a transformative milestone for Region 6 and a significant step forward in strengthening national connectivity, tourism, and economic diversification.
Addressing the gathering, the head of state said the project symbolizes the continuous reinvestment of local wealth into national development, while commending the BK Group for its sustained expansion and role in creating new opportunities across Guyana.
And to support this vision, we are building infrastructure that links people. We are building systems that uplift families. We are building opportunities that transform communities. And as we turn this Saturday, we turn a new page for Region 7 because Partika's story has always been one of movement, And today, we are moving again. Let us move forward together. Government, private sector, communities, every resident, towards a Bartica that is stronger, more connected, more prosperous, and more empowered. And above all, let us move forward with simple but powerful belief that has defined Guyanese progress for generations. When we build together, we rise together.
The president noted that Bartica is undergoing rapid transformation in line with the government's broader development agenda. He explained that the new terminal will play a critical role in opening up the region by air, expanding tourism potential, lowering transportation costs, and improving access to services for residents and businesses. While Bartica has long served as a gateway to the hinterland and mining sector, President Ali said the town is now evolving into a modern, diversified hub. He highlighted several key public investments already in progress, including the upgraded Stelling and planned world class marina, major spending on housing, roads, drainage, and utilities, a new water treatment plant aimed at achieving 100% access to treated water, the introduction of fiber optic and 5G services, the expansion of the highway network linking Bartica to Demrara, and the upcoming construction of a modern hospital scheduled to begin early next year.
The government is developing the next phase of the highway system, from the new Barjagdale Demra River Bridge to the road at Wales, through the Del Conte route connecting directly to Sand Hills, and then onward to Timeri. In this way, we will tie Bartica more tightly into the national road network. And when this aerodrome and new terminal are completed, Bartica will proudly boast the interconnected pathways to the world by river, by road, and by air. Few hinterland areas anywhere in the region can claim that level of connectivity. Bartica will no longer be a gateway you pass through. Bartica will be the destination you go to.
He further challenged the local aviation sector to reduce domestic airfare, arguing that the industry must now pass on the benefits to citizens after receiving significant government support. Reaffirming the government's commitment to balanced national development, President Ali stressed that progress must be shared across all regions. Quote, when Guyana moves, every region must move with it. This investment is about progress, not politics. End of quote, he concluded. Noting that the terminal signals the beginning of a new chapter for Bartica, a town historically defined by moment, connection, and opportunity. Adana Dora, Guyana TV9 News.
Thank you, Adano. More news after the break. Stay with us.
Guyana Channel 9 is now Guy TV9, proudly under new management. We're building stronger with a balanced and open platform for all advertisers. Whether you're promoting a business, service, or event, your message belongs right here. So choose your spot, news, prime time, or anytime, and reach viewers across Guyana. With affordable rates and professional service, Guy TV9 is your partner in progress. So visit us at Lot 21A, Lamahar Street, Georgetown, in the Century 21 building, or call 600-5006 or 761-5006. Guyana TV9. New leadership, fresh outlook, real results.
Celebrate Christmas the Guyanese way with 7 days of magic and adventure. Feel the streets come alive with lights, decor, and carols. Share in the delicious joy of favorites like pepper pot, black cake, and even ginger beer. Then explore Guyana's attractions, the majestic kite show, scenic tour on the Demerara Essequibo, and Mahaika rivers. 7 days, one unforgettable Christmas. Join us. Let's discover Guyana this Christmas.
Want to place your death announcements and in memoriam messages on Channel 9? Call 592-761-5006, 710-5008, 600-5006. Or visit our office at Lot 85A Lamaha Street, Albertown, Georgetown, Century 21 Building.
Welcome back. You're watching the Ghana TV9 News Bulletin. At a sword-turning ceremony in Bartica, Minister of Tourism, Industry and Commerce Susan Reeks said the new terminal being built by Jags Aviation and BK Group signals strong private sector faith in Ghana's rapid economic rise and growing tourism sector.
In a powerful show of private sector confidence in Ghana's accelerating economy, the sod was officially turned on Sunday for the new airport terminal in Bartica Region 7, an investment led by the Tuari family and BK Group of companies. The multi-million-dollar project is expected to boost regional connectivity, expand trade, and strengthen Ghana's fast-growing tourism industry, a key pillar of the national development agenda. Minister of Tourism, Industry and Commerce Susan Rodriguez reported that visitor arrivals surged by 18% in the first half of 2024 compared to the same period the previous year, placing Ghana at the top of the Caribbean for growth in tourism arrivals.
And Guyana is leading in terms of visitor arrival among all Caribbean countries. And that is because Destination Guyana is beautiful and it is diverse. So while some destinations offer the sand and the beach, Guyana offers, of course, our beautiful and historic garden city of Georgetown, but we also offer the immersive experience, which is the new trend in tourism, where visitors and tourists would.
The minister also announced an aggressive push to expand ecotourism, noting that the government has already issued an expression of interest for eco-lodges and resorts across 10 locations nationwide. She said the aim is to unlock the value of Ghana's rich natural and cultural assets through sustained private investment.
So this infrastructure here today supports enormously the tourism and trade sectors, for which I have responsibility. And so we're very pleased with this investment and with all of the investment in infrastructure that not only supports connectivity, but also supports these spill-off or emerging sectors such as tourism and hospitality and creating jobs. And you heard the mayor spoke a lot about all of the jobs that are created in this sector.
While celebrating the momentum in infrastructure and arrivals from the attractions in Georgetown to Ghana's untouched rainforests, Minister Rodriguez underscored that tourism is everybody's business. She called for a national shift toward world-class hospitality, ensuring physical development is matched by service excellence. The consensus at the event was clear. Both public and private sectors are aligned, energized, and ready to reshape Destination Ghana, with the new Bartica terminal serving as a major step forward. Colin Abrams, Ghana TV9 News.
Region 6 is set for a sweeping transformation as President Dr. Mohamed Irfan Ali, speaking during a high-level cabinet outreach in Berbice, announced a shift from infrastructure-only development to deep systemic reforms aimed at improving the way government services are delivered. He emphasized that while massive highways, hospitals, and housing programs continue, the true focus now is on fixing service delivery systems so citizens can experience dignity, satisfaction, and real results when interacting with government. Faith Sandy reports.
As part of this transformation drive, President Ali revealed that 50 urban and suburban areas across Region 6 have been flagged for a full upgrade. The initiative aims to equalize the quality of life across the country, ensuring that residents of Region 6 benefit from the same level of investment, aesthetics, and public comfort as any other region experiencing growth under the National Development Agenda.
They'll be able to start their pre-medicine program right here in Region 6 because we are expanding the School of Medicine here in Region 6 for your children. These are things that we are starting almost instantaneously. We have identified 50 areas what we call urban and suburban areas across this region, that we are going to work on the beautification project, enhancing drainage with concrete drains and building out the infrastructure in these what we call urban and suburban areas, because we want to enjoy the same level of service, the same level of investment, and the same level of joy that citizens across this country, whether in Georgetown, in Linden, in Berbice, in Lethem, you must enjoy the same quality of life.
The president also ordered an immediate fix to a long-standing issue affecting market vendors who are restricted from taking in goods after 4 p.m., calling the rule ridiculous and contrary to a government built to support people. The order underscored a stance that public systems must work for the people, not the other way around.
The Ministry of Local Government, we have given them a task of doing a gap analysis on all of the markets. And before the end of today, I want to understand why the market vendors at Skeldon, why they're only allowed up to 4 o'clock to take their produce in or to take their goods in the market. And it must be fixed before we leave here. It must be fixed. And if somebody is standing in the way of fixing it, we must remove that barrier that is standing in the way of fixing it. So we have the Deputy PS here. Before I leave here, it must be fixed. A public notice must be in front of the market so that no lord or individual who believe they're lords can change that notice there at the market. So before we leave here, that must be fixed, because that's absolutely ridiculous.
With sweeping beautification plans, urgent market reforms, and a renewed commitment to citizen-centered governance, the region is poised for a major shift in how communities look, feel, and function. As the administration accelerates this new chapter of transformation, residents are being assured that their concerns are not only heard, but acted on immediately and decisively. Faith Sandy, Guyana TV9 News.
The Equitable Coast is mourning the sudden death of 18-year-old Naomi Singh, whose life was cut short in a violent accident at Houston on Sunday evening. The tragedy unfolded around 17:30 hours as the young woman was driving along the public road. Preliminary information suggests that a motorcycle unexpectedly crossed into her lane. In an attempt to avoid a collision, Singh reportedly swerved, lost control of her vehicle, and slammed into a utility pole with tremendous impact. Residents nearby rushed to assist, and word of the crash spread rapidly through the community. By the time her vehicle was reached, Singh had suffered severe injuries. She was taken to the Saudi Public Hospital, where doctors pronounced her dead on arrival. Her body has since been transported to the Saudi mortuary for a post-mortem examination. Minister within the Office of the Prime Minister, Kwame McCoy, is rejecting sections of the European Union's final report on the 2025 general and regional elections, arguing that the document, while praising the conduct of the polls, creates a misleading narrative about the government's role during an election year.
McCoy noted that the EU mission commended Ghana for a smooth, peaceful, and professionally run election, crediting reforms implemented since 2022. Yet, he said the report that shifts to the familiar claim that incumbency itself provides an undue advantage, as though effective governance becomes questionable once campaign season begins.
The European Union's final report on the 2025 elections sit in that uncomfortable space. It praises the process, professionalism, reforms, peaceful atmosphere, and competence of polling staff. Then it pivots to the familiar refrain, the advantage of the incumbency, as if good governance must be treated as a form of misconduct once an election year arrives.
The minister argued that this logic suggests the government should shrink its presence, cutting back outreach, slowing development projects, and avoiding even routine duties to avoid criticism. Activities like opening public buildings, supporting farmers, or holding community engagements were cast as potential abuses of office, which he said is unrealistic and inconsistent with democratic norms. Comparing Guyana's situation to practices in Europe, McCoy said governments there openly campaign on their performance, launch new programs, and highlight accomplishments without being accused of exploiting state resources. Only in Guyana, he added, does effective governance risk being treated with suspicion.
Governments in Europe campaign on results. They launch programs, highlight achievements, cut ribbons, and claim credit for their work. Nobody pauses progress to soothe the opposition. This public judges a government by what it delivers, not by how quietly it retreats into an election. Here,
McCoy also pointed to what he called inconsistencies in the EU report, noting that the activities questioned by observers are practiced across the political spectrum. Opposition parties freely ran outreach programs, mobilized support, and in one case, the Win Party even engaged in vote buying. He added that several media houses amplified opposition narratives, yet criticism seemed directed only at the government's routine actions. While welcoming the EU's call for clearer guidelines on state resources and campaign conduct, McCoy warned that portraying ordinary governance as problematic during an election year risks weakening the very institutions observers praised. Infrastructure, healthcare, education, and social services, he said, are basic responsibilities of the state, not election year privileges. Reaffirming Guyana's respect for its partnership with the EU, McCoy said all recommendations will be viewed carefully, but cautioned that any model that forces a government to, quote, step into the shadows, unquote, every 5 years would harm progress and disadvantage citizens who rely on continuous services.
Now for some regional news out of Trinidad and Tobago. Trinidad and Tobago is reeling from the death of the UNC counselor Ramona Tennille Victor, who was found dead alongside her husband in what police believe is a murder-suicide in their Siparia home on Sunday. Investigators say the 36-year-old counselor was killed by her husband Rodney Ramsumir at their Panel Road residence before he took his own life. The bodies were discovered on a bed inside the home by Victor's father, who alerted police. Victor, who represented Siparia, East San Francisco South, was widely admired for her energetic, hands-on community service. Now, news of her death sparked an outpour of grief from residents, colleagues, and the Siparia Borough Corporation. Her body has been taken for official examination as investigators continue interviewing relatives and neighbors. The Borough of Siparia has issued condolences, describing Victor as a compassionate and dedicated public servant whose legacy of service will be long remembered. And that has brought us to the end of tonight's newscast. Remember to check out our Facebook and YouTube platforms at GOI TV9 for more trending stories. I'm Colin Abrams. Good night.